Hello and welcome again. This is Calvenn Starre, and you're joining us for our Advancement in Leadership webinar series based on the book The Disciplined Leader by John Manning. As you can see here, it's a book written. It's got 52 concise, powerful lessons on leadership, which is really key and important. This book is actually written for executives, people that run companies, CEOs, COOs, presidents, vice presidents, all of these top people. And I thought, you know what, I took this course years ago. It was phenomenal for what I had to do in the industry of network marketing and just running a company. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to take this book and kind of translate the information into network marketing, being an affiliate. Because, the truth of it is that if you want to run a successful network marketing affiliate distributorship, then you need to be able to understand how to lead and manage people and work with people and get people to be driven and inspired and all of these great things that we talk about in our trainings. So here we are, and welcome. Thank you for coming back, joining us again, and just having a great time with this and really using the information to better yourself. It's been a great opportunity for me too to just kind of look at myself and look at where I could improve on. And this is a great chapter, which is pick your battles. So let's get into this. But first, what we do here, we always go through an integration process. We take the information that we learned in the past and we try to implement it and put it into a different context so that we can understand it. And this actually helps your brain integrate information. That's why kids learn by watching the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, and then they start to learn to repeat. And so you have to be able to do that. For me, though, I don't want to continue to go over the exact same information, so I like to recall the information and kind of see what my brain has picked up along the way, and it kind of gives me an idea of what I need to work on. So we go back to chapter 42 because we're only going to go back 3 weeks, and that chapter was about learning from success. And for me, this chapter was all about the idea that we focus so much on our failures, because when somebody says, well, why did you fail at this? And you have all the reasons and the perfect picture and the sobs and this and that. And then somebody asks you, well, why did you create success at this time? And you kind of go, interesting question. And it's because we don't really focus on the successes. We're more a fear of failure. So we have this idea that we need to focus on the fear of failure and then not be so, focused on the success. What this chapter was telling us is that success leaves clues. There's no reason why, if you've succeeded once, then you can't go back and succeed again. You should be able to just keep repeating. And so John talks about taking the information that when you've had a success, look for ways to repeat that success and keep doing it over and over and over again. And then you can tweak it. Then you can find ways to improve upon your successes to make it even better, which is what a lot of great leaders like myself love to do, which is pick apart things and kind of say, okay, well, what do I need to look at here and what can we do to make this better? Because if you're not willing to look at something to make it better, then what are you doing? You've got to look at making it better, because anything that's not growing is dying. And so chapter 42 is all about learning from those successes in your past and understanding what you can do to make them repeat and also become better. Number 43, chapter 43, put more weight on why. This reminded me of that story of when we were kids, and if you have kids like I do, when they ask those questions of, well, why? Well, why? Well, why is that? Why is that? Why do I have to do this? Why do I do that? And we start to, if we're patient and we're blessed beyond reason, then we have that ability to answer their questions, because they're very, very important questions for a kid to begin to understand and facilitate the idea of what it means to think for themselves. Unfortunately, most of us get caught up in it, and we were parented by people that said, you know what, stop asking why, just because I said so. And then we stopped asking why along the way. And what John's saying here is start asking that question of why. It's one of the things that a lot of people do when they're about to launch a new product or a new company or a new idea or new technology. They ask, why is this going to work, or why is it not going to work? What are going to be some of the downfalls? What are going to be some of the upswing? Like all the different things. They ask why, because that's making things bulletproof. That's making things solid. And so, like in my experience from network marketing, So many people have asked me why network marketing, why this, why did you do this, why did you do that, all these things. And so I've become bulletproof with anybody that would come to me and say, well, network marketing doesn't work. I'd go, no, it works fine. It's always the person. It's kind of like the computer. The computer works fine, but it's the person that can't use the computer kind of thing. So put more weight on why when you're working with people, and let people ask that question of themselves. Like when they say, well, okay, we got to do this, this system. Well, why? Well, let them figure it out. Don't tell them why sometimes. Sometimes you have to coach people along. But if you let people come up with their own why of why they have to do something, then they begin to put everything together, so to speak, and they go, oh my gosh, that makes total sense. Now I understand. And when somebody understands, they have a foundation. And when you have a foundation, you become immovable, unshakable. And so that's something that you can really focus on when you're helping people, is not being that person that gives so much information at times, but more asking people, well, why? Why do you think that? Why would it work? Why wouldn't it not work? Kind of thing. And let them come up with the questions or the answers. Then we had chapter 44, which was last week, cultivate curiosity. This goes along the lines of that question of why. When you're cultivating curiosity within your organization or team, you're keeping people open, and it's about creating, it's about creativity. It's about having that flow, because everything comes from creativity. The reason we have the companies that we're a part of and the products that we're a part of is because of that curiosity that says, could I do this better? Could I use this system and that system and put it together and make this work and do all these things? And so you want to encourage people to have that curiosity and have ideas and have like brainstorming sessions where you get with people and say, okay, we use the system and it works, so let's figure out ways that we can enhance it or improve it to make it even better, because that's how systems become, like, that's what Apple does, that's what Windows does, and all these companies do, is they have a curiosity about what would happen if this would happen, what would happen if that would happen, and they kind of go through their process. How many times have one of us gotten a device and looked at it and went, oh man, why didn't they think about this? I mean, those types of ideas, that curiosity is a good thing, and those types of ideas can create millions of dollars for companies. When we first had cell phones, probably nobody even thought, like, wow, one day we'll make this waterproof, right? And all of a sudden, boom, now the phones are all coming out and they're all waterproof, and you've got watches and electronic watches that are waterproof and connected to GPS. Like, it's insane. And that comes from a curiosity of people asking themselves, well, what if? What can I do? What can I not do? Okay? So that's those 3 chapters. And so let's get into chapter 45, pick your battles. God doesn't give the hardest battles to his toughest soldiers. He creates the toughest soldiers through life's hardest battles. Unknown. So for me, I like this one because, when you're in a struggle, and if it's not something that you can really resonate with, then let it go. Okay, it's somebody else's battle. I don't know how many times I've heard that in my life. That's somebody else's battle. Let them deal with it. And so you've got to look at that, because if you're really fighting for something good, that's good, because it's going to create who you are. It's the old story of the mammoth, or not the mammoth, but the moth and the butterfly. Working its way out of that cocoon actually creates the beauty in the wings, and it dries them off, and all these things happen. So if something is in front of you and you're really excited about it and you're really passionate about it and it's tough, know that that's okay, because that's just God's way of saying, you know what, I'm going to help create this amazing part of your life. And so, boom, let's make this thing happen. And I don't know where I got it from, but I've had that for years, where when things have happened to me, I said, you know what? It's just an opportunity for me to become stronger, so that when things are even bigger than they are now, I will have the strength and the courage to be able to deal with those things. And so I believe it's the same thing for you. You just have to switch and change your perspective to make it more of a positive thing, rather than it being negative, like, oh my gosh, why does this always happen to me? Okay? So, next quote. Your worst battle is between what you know and what you feel. So what you know is right and what you feel is right. So there's all these little things that we're going to have to come in. And one of the struggles that I've been working with a lot with people is having to unlearn what you know, because we all grow up and we're always, and that's the beautiful quote by Steve Jobs that says, along the lines of, your world is made up of other people's rules. and you bought into it. And I'm paraphrasing, but it's one of those things where I go, look, everything that you're experiencing right now in your life is up for question. It's up for, challenge. And it's up to battle, because you can really let go of some ideas. When I was a teenager, when I was 11 and 12 years old, I wanted a computer. I had no idea what a computer was, but I pestered my parents until they got me one. And then I started writing programs, and I started writing my own games, and I became like this computer person. And I would stay up from 10 o'clock at night till about 6 in the morning because I wanted to be online. Back then, 150 baud modem. It was crazy how slow it was. And I wanted to be online and doing what I was doing. And my parents thought I was insane. But there was a shift coming. There was a change in the way things happened in the world. And so I was a part of that, and so were you if you're my age. But we look at these kids now and we go, oh, they spend too much time. And it's like, but they came into this life at a technological time. And, when you can watch a 3-year-old move through an iPad or an iPhone better than you can, you realize that there's something there. And I've had to redefine rules around, computers and electronics because it's everywhere in everything that we do. When I want to read something, I'll go on and ask Google, or I'll ask Siri, or I'll ask, my Google device. And so you've got to learn to pick your battles, because you may be fighting a battle that's based on some old rule that you grew up with that's not relevant anymore. So think about that before, if you're always tired or worn out, maybe you're fighting the wrong battles. Maybe you need to look at that. And that's where we're talking about here today. Pick your battles. All leaders have battles to fight and wars to win. The fact of it is that if you're leading an organization or a company or anything like that, you're going to have battles that you need to fight. And a lot of times they're good battles. Sometimes they're bad battles, and that's just the way life happens. But you can't run from it, because I promise you, I've been in up and down in life, and up and down in companies, and up and down in success, and up and down in failure, and up and down in all sorts of areas. And the truth of it is that I've always gotten through everything. And everything's always made me stronger and more educated and more professional, or more just compassionate. It's done something for me. And so you're going to have those, and so welcome them with warm embrace and realize that they're just there for a reason. Now, knowing which ones to fight can optimize your leadership and maintain your authority. So there are times where you can fight battles and it will show people, wow, that's a great leader, and wow, that person really understands and is capable of being, the authority figure. And then there are times where you may fight something, people go, wow, what an idiot for doing that. And I've done those things. It's crazy. And then you lose respect from people because you fight the wrong battles. And so that's wisdom, and we're actually going to get into that a little bit too. The best way John talks about doing this in the book is embracing the Pareto principle, which is the 20 and 80% rule. 20% of activities net 80% of your results. So look at the battle that you're about to fight and go, okay, you know what? Is this battle going to produce which percentage of results? Is it going to produce the big results, or is it producing the very small, minuscule results? Because if it's producing the small ones, man, let it go. Go find something that's more important and more going to support you and what you need to accomplish in your business. Battles win wars. Use this and you will win. Okay. So if you use this Pareto principle and you understand and you ask those questions like he talks about, like what's the goal here, then you're going to understand. But understand this too. No one wins all of the time. However, when you pick your battles accordingly, you increase your chances. And you can appear to have always be winning, but the truth of it is that you've just become wise and experienced in your choosing. Okay. And it's just one of those things where it takes time, it takes wisdom, it also takes letting go of some things, especially ego. Sometimes we want to be right, man. I catch myself a lot wanting to be right, and then I realize, why am I fighting this, right? And I would say most of it comes in parenting, where we just feel like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna set it straight. You know what? It's probably not gonna do anything, right? And so we decide that we're gonna back off, and then afterwards we can look at things, and if you take the time afterwards and before you let go completely and you go, okay, was this something I needed to fight, or is this something I can let go of? Then you can reflect and you can say, you know what, better to let go of, or no, you know what, I am going to go set it straight because now I've had time to think about it and I know I'm right. And again, look at these different things in this chapter to help you with your business, your relationships, your children, whatever it is. It's powerful information that you can use in any area of your life, not just your network marketing business. So you do not want to be seen as an inflexible leader in your organization, someone who doesn't value others' opinions and ideas. And that's the one thing I love to do when I'm working with people, is having those conversations where they throw things at me, I throw things at them, ideas, and then we kind of discuss them and think about them and say, okay, well, you know what? I'm willing to let that go. And I learned a lot from T. Harv Eker in this, because he teaches a negotiation, or he used to. And it's really powerful because this same concept, pick your battles in your negotiations. What are you willing to live with and what are you not willing to live with? And a lot of times, the key in this is that putting some additional things in that you know you're willing to get rid of, just so that the other person feels like they've actually gotten, they've won a little bit. And that's that win-win type mentality where you can really help people understand that it's okay to let some things go and create success in other areas where some people feel like they have to win in all areas, right? So it takes experience and wisdom to get really good at deciding what to do. But most important, return to the question, what's the goal? What is the goal? It's a great way to test whether something is going to hurt or support you, support what you have determined as vital. So let's say that you think it's important, right? Oh my gosh, I've got to make sure that this gets done. But it's not getting done. And so it's like, okay, do I fight this battle? And you have to ask yourself, is it part of my vital factors? Is it part of the necessity of my business? And is it going to stop me from doing what I need to do? And if it's not, then you may want to just let it go and not worry about it. And maybe it's just something that you thought was important, right? So ask that question, what's the goal? So here are some ways to develop and sustain these aspects, okay? Here are some ways. Support healthy debate. Spirited discussions should be fruitful, though. So don't think just like arguing with somebody is healthy. They should have an outcome. So set boundaries, limits, and set the end goals. Like, what is it that we ultimately want to accomplish by opening this up for discussion? Not just everybody throw out their information and then one person decide. It's like really get an idea of what it is. What are the pros? What are the cons? What is the ultimate goal? And is that really part of it, or is it being swept under the rug? So really support that within your organization and with people. Number 2, address direct challenges to your authority. If something is said about you or to you, then address that. And there are certain things that you want to maybe address in private and some things that you may want to address in public. And if you do it both, public or privately, do it with tact, strength, and courage. And be open and talk to people and just let them know how you're feeling. Hey, listen, there are times where I've shared some feelings with people and they just don't know how to get past it. That's not my issue. If I've said something in a moment and I said, you know what, this really upsets me and I just don't know what I'm going to do, and then they take it all personal, well, hey, I'm just expressing to you how I feel, and I'm not being mean about it. I'm just saying, wow, this is really, I've got to really give this some thought. And if that hurts them, then that hurts them. You can't do anything about it. You're not going to be able to do anything for them anyways. So, but if you do it with tact and strength and compassion and courage, and you address these direct challenges, you'll realize something here. Maybe this is an opportunity for you to be able to pass on some wisdom to yourself or to them about maybe they should pick their battles. Maybe they're picking a battle with you because it's what they feel like, or maybe they're just not winning at all. A lot of times when dealing with kids, especially in sibling rivalries, a lot of times we see that kids will attack each other, and it's because they don't feel like they're being able to be in control of other aspects of their lives. So let's say they're struggling in class. Well, they're going to come home and attack their little sister or their little brother. And that it's not bad. It's just that's how kids act. That's how a lot of parents act. I mean, I don't know how many times I've been having technological difficulties with computers, and somebody walks in the room and I'm like, what do you want? And it's like, wow, they didn't do anything. I'm just in this space of like, and I want to figure something out, and I don't want any distractions. Not their fault, my fault, right? And so, but as we grow, and so maybe it's not a direct challenge to your authority. So really ask your questions about that as well. And then when it is, understand and have compassion that that person is probably going through something, or not able to handle stress, or not being able to effectively manage their own emotions, and so they're attacking you or challenging you. And that's okay. This is your opportunity to be even more of a leader. You don't want to strike them down like a crazy king from Game of Thrones, like a Joffrey, right? King Joffrey. You don't want to just chop their head off. No, you want to work it out with them and show people, you know what? This person can handle themselves. That's true leadership. Go to bat for someone or something, okay? This is the third part of it. Go to bat for someone or something. Do this for people who need help when they are being unfairly challenged or attacked. So when somebody is being made fun of or challenged or attacked, you want to step in and go to bat for them. Okay, go get behind their idea if you feel it's important. If it's not, then you might want to just protect them in a different way. So think about that, because there will be times where people will be attacking somebody else and you need to step in. And I've had to do that with leaders, especially at corporate, where a bunch of affiliates were attacking another affiliate, and I've said, hey, no, listen, you know what? Yeah, I may like you more, but you're not doing the right thing here, and so I'm going to tell you that it's not right. And I'll be extremely firm, especially when I know it's a battle that I feel is really important, and I know that over time it will be an opportunity for everybody to grow on. So, go to bat for someone or something along those lines where you can support and help people cultivate something in their lives, okay? Now, let's get into the last part of the chapter. Take action now. Number 1, think up some scenarios in which your authority might get tested and prepare responses that would demonstrate your ability to manage the situation with authority. Maybe it's, this is great. I took a parenting course one time before my son with my wife, and it was interesting because we all the parents got together and we all threw these one-liners out. There were these one-liner things that our kids would say to completely throw us off, like crazy stuff like, I hope you die. Or, there's nothing you can do to me. You can't touch me, or I'll call child services. I mean, I wish I had the sheet right with me. I'd read some of them to you and be like, oh my gosh, kids say this. And, the best thing to do is, the reason why that we had everybody write them down was so that we could prepare responses. And the best responses in those moments are things like, love and logic that says, oh, I'm sure bet you hope I don't believe that, right? Or I'm sure glad that you know that I don't believe that. And you kind of diffuse the situation, not by reacting and going, I'll show you, like getting in their face and fighting them. It's really about picking your battles and saying, yeah, you know what? Wow, that would really suck. I really would hate to think that would actually happen. And you kind of let it go, and then they don't know what to do. And so think of some scenarios like that where your people are going to challenge you, especially in the direct sales part where you're selling things or you're sharing with people or trying to get people to sign up. Don't be so reactionary to somebody when they're asking questions or negating what you're doing, and just kind of, think those things through and think, okay, what would I say in this moment? How would I demonstrate this or be able to handle this? Because there are times where people will come at you and you think it's personal. And I've been on 3-way calls with leaders that do this, where they get really upset and they start to go after the person that they're prospecting. I'm like, wow, don't do that, because they have a healthy skepticism. They need to ask their questions. And so if you can laugh it off, so to speak, and you can manage that more effectively, they'll be more likely to lead you because they know that they can trust you. Now, 2, examine your current activities and whether you're wasting time fighting the wrong battles. Okay, if you're exhausted at the end of the day, you're fighting the wrong battles. If you are completely worn out and like on edge all the time, you're fighting the wrong battles. Stop having those fights and address your behavior. Okay, this is about you. If you're the one that's worn out, you're the one that's irritable, you're the one that's miserable in your life, it's you. You're fighting the wrong battles. You've got to stop and look at what you're fighting and going, is this really important, right? Is it really important that my kid doesn't make a mess when they eat? I mean, I make a mess when I eat sometimes, so it's okay. And I know it sucks, but have them clean it up. I mean, wow, what a brilliant idea. And don't let them go until it's clean, right? So, it's one of those fascinating things that we have to really look at and ask ourselves, why am I so exhausted? Because if you're building your business of network marketing and you're not completely like, oh my gosh, this was such an amazing day, then you're doing something wrong. If you're fighting and there's drama and there's issues, you're fighting the wrong battles. Go find people that you can go run with rather than go with people that you can fight with, right? All right, number 3, determine where you can sponsor healthy, heated debates, particularly in areas with subjects that have high impact or tie directly to your vital goals. So get with your leaders, get with your team, and really discuss the things that people are going to challenge on, because you want to help people become bulletproof in the way that they can respond, and not necessarily win, right? Just because you're bulletproof doesn't mean that you win. It just means that you can take a bullet and be totally fine. Be like, yeah, okay, whatever. Not somebody comes at you and says, hey, network marketing sucks and it's the worst criminal thing in the world. You get all pissed off and go, ah, blah, blah, blah. No, you go, oh gosh, wow, okay, great, thank you. Well, good luck to you. And that's being bulletproof, right? You don't have to convert them. You don't have to change their mind. You don't have to do anything. They probably get more of something out of it because they're looking for you to fight, right? So just find a way that you can discuss these things so that when these do come up with your team, they're bulletproof and they won't get hurt. They won't run away. Now, pay it forward. It's always about that attitude of gratitude, and it's something that I've been focused on, and so I want you to pay it forward by leaving a comment below on what you're most grateful for in your life today, right? Anything, and then what you've learned from this webinar. Thank you, and I'm grateful for your leadership. Showing up is the first step. We'll see you next week.